All right. We are going to kick it into an open discussion. So 50 minutes and let's kick it.
No, I don't think so. I'm not going to sit here and dignify the preparation that I went through and what people were here for.
You're so indignant.
Keep interrupting me.
I am.
Okay.
You're so indignant.
Would the moderator like to step in so that I can finish what I'm saying?
Please, Matt. Please. How dare someone have an opposing worldview?
I'm not going to.
In this video, Andrew Wilson debates humanist Matt Dillahunty about ethics and morality. Andrew Wilson and Dillahunty argue whether Christianity or secular humanism has a better ethical foundation. I can't even believe this is a debate. With that, let's watch Andrew Wilson make Matt Dillahunty whine like a baby, make some excuses, and refuse to debate. Seriously.
You see, human flourishing, the cornerstone of Matt's ideology and that of secular humanism, is totally meaningless. Flourishing by whose metric? From my perspective, for instance, attempting to lie to people who claim men can be women isn't human flourishing. From Matt's perspective, it is. Why? Why should the collective of humanity lie and say men can get pregnant? Why should they say that men can have periods? Things which are categorically and obviously false. That preserving homosexuality in society is good for human flourishing, even though they are reproductive dead ends. And that Western society and egalitarianism is superior to those evil theist society, even though the Western nations can't even reproduce their own populations, but instead have to replace their population with foreigners from those theist nations that can reproduce. Let's start with a basic societal question recently asked of the West, who has now embraced a scientific and non-theistic approach to governing. Super basic question every kindergartner knows. If you don't believe me, go watch Kindergarten Cop. The question posed to the Western nation is, can a man be a woman? All right? To the question of if a man can be a woman, they say the answer is yes. And the way we will decree they can be a woman is by simply saying that woman now means male. Problem solved. Thank you, secular humanists. Thank you so much. Nope, not kidding. Why, you ask, would people be this over-the-top stupid? Well, it's simple. The good is the good, man. We have to do what's good for human society and human flourishing. And if you don't call these deranged lunatics something they obviously aren't, they might self-terminate. So in order to avoid that, we need to make everybody on planet Earth lie to them. This is human flourishing. Just redefine shit, pretend it's true. How laughably absurd this worldview is. Matt will often say, I remain unconvinced.
Well said. Make shit up and pretend it's true. Our society's been lied to about youth self-terminating because they feel like they're in the wrong body. It's propaganda. So if that's the big concern about trans people, that they're going to self-terminate if they don't transition, and that's why kids should undergo treatment to make them happier, please show me one shred of evidence that that's the result of a transition. Spoiler alert, you can't, because there is not a difference in the rates of self-termination between individuals pre- and post-transition surgery. But now their body's all left up, but the psychiatrists and the doctors made their money, so who cares, right? Is it possible, just possible, that maybe there's something much more significant underlying their idea that they can be whatever gender they want to be? That, by the way, that society has implanted in their heads, that we may want to get to the bottom of these other issues before we stop messing with their biology and chopping off body parts? I'm not a doctor or scientist, but just a thought. Let's get back to the video.
Convinced. Well, Matt, I'm also going to use your standard. I need for you to 100% convince me beyond a shadow of a doubt that males can have babies. What's the answer going to be? No, Andrew, you big stupid. Males can't have babies. Men can have babies. Because we just defined man to include females, dummy. Well, Matt, I remain unconvinced. I'd like Matt to convince me that if you are a male and you are having sex with another male, which would not be allowed in my version of a secular humanist worldview, how is it that you're not just basically having sex with a guy with a wig on? I really want to know the answer to that question. Not just me, but all rational people who aren't lunatics also want to know why "it's ma'am" isn't a complete and total crock of garbage. Because I remain unconvinced that it isn't a total lie, and that these people don't just pervert the language to include their own perversions and then add human flourishing at the end. Matt has said he wouldn't make a law stopping 9-year-olds from having sex with each other. Not kidding. Now, I know this is going to sound a little bit totalitarian, but I would in fact create laws that made it a crime for a 9-year-old to have sex with their 9-year-old. I would hold the parents criminally liable for allowing this to happen in my evil authoritarian society, where I don't even let 9-year-olds have sex or the parents go straight to jail for negligence. Now, I think that's better for human flourishing. I think maybe parents would be far less likely to let their 9-year-olds do that if they went to jail. Stupid me. Next, I would, in my authoritarian society, decree that all simulated sex acts in public were criminal offenses and would make sure that all people went to prison for the crime of indecency, which doesn't assist with human flourishing, and I'd like to know why I'm wrong. Secular humanism can basically be whatever the hell you want it to be. It doesn't really need the principle of freedom or the starting axiom of freedom and peace in order to postulate whatever it wants. It's sloganeering.
If you like watching videos like this one, like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Let's get back to the video.
Slogans, they don't mean anything. Okay, why do 9-year-olds need to be able to have sex in order to advance humanity? Why do we need to lie about a person's sex in order to advance humanity? Why are these things necessary for human flourishing? Why are decency laws bad? Why would Christian ethics stop flourishing when the theist mandate is to reproduce and the secular mandate is let's just all have sex and have fun, bro? That sounds way worse for human flourishing. In fact, I would say not reproducing is a worst possible thing for human flourishing, because if there's no humans, how do you flourish? So I guess, in essence, step 1, I remain unconvinced. Step 2, I need to be convinced, so I'm no longer unconvinced. And step 3, but God not real dough doesn't matter here. I've already granted it to still demonstrate just how stupid this ideology actually is. With that, I'll yield my time, and I'm happy to get into it.
In the secular humanist view, everything is subjective, including morals and values. This guy wouldn't make a law against 9-year-olds having sex with one another. And Andrew is crazy enough, I mean, he's off his rocker to suggest that parents should be held criminally liable for things like that. As a society, we've made sex meaningless, at least those of us that a secular humanist or atheistic worldview. Nothing means anything. Morals are subjective. The simplest way to prove this is to ask a atheist or secular humanist, why is murder wrong? They'll go on some rambling rant because we've established that as humans it's not good. But why? Where does the idea that it's wrong come from? Maybe I think it's right. And if everything is subjective and it doesn't come from God, then who's to say you're right and I'm wrong? Because I like murdering and I want to go do it. I shouldn't be punished for that. I concede right now I am probably 1/100th as smart as Matthew Dillahunty or Andrew Wilson. And I think that simple question alone is pretty good evidence of how stupid an idea that our values just come from us and they're subjective and we just all agree on them as humans is so effing silly. This video isn't about preaching, but I'd be remiss if I didn't say there's one way, and it's Jesus Christ. Men will lie, cheat, steal, do things that are in their best interest, not in the best interest of other people. Why in the hell would we leave morality up to man to decide? That's insane. There's only one source you'll ever get the truth from every single time, and that's God. Let's wrap up the video.
Hey, James, I just sent you a message.
All right. We are going to kick it into an open discussion. So 50 minutes and let's kick it.
No, I don't think so. I'm not going to sit here and dignify the preparation that I went through and what people were here for.
You're so indignant.
Keep interrupting me.
I am.
Okay.
You're so indignant.
Would the moderator like to step in so that I can finish what I'm saying?
Please, Matt. Please. How dare someone have an opposing worldview?
I'm not going to sit here and dignify what was supposed to be a debate about Christianity versus secular humanism, which one's better for the world,
Yes.
with someone who clearly showed up with an agenda that has nothing to do with that.
I just like
Someone who refers to trans people as deranged lunatics who will self-terminate if you dare to question them.
How am I wrong, Matt?
Someone who misrepresents a quote from a debate where I said I wouldn't make a law about 9-year-olds having sex being legal with respect to the 9-year-olds, not that I was in any way in favor of it and that I was actually opposed to it, which I addressed during that debate. But more
Isn't this just the greatest advertisement for Christianity? This Matt Dillahunty guy is a supposed expert in secular humanism and a master debater. I wasn't trying to be funny there, but it sounded kind of funny. And he literally refuses to debate Andrew Wilson. How thin-skinned and how frail of a spirit do you have that you can't respond to what Andrew Wilson just said? I don't believe whatsoever that Andrew Wilson was over the top or outrageous with anything that he said. He's saying things that I've tried to express in these videos for a long time, just so much more articulately. And for people that are on the fence about whether they want to associate politically with the left or the right, there is one side of the aisle that supports all the garbage that Andrew Wilson just talked about. This coward here that can't respond to it because he's used to a different approach where you say, here's why I think secular humanism is good. And the other person goes, no, it's not. I think Christianity's good. Pardon my language, but this guy is a giant pussy and a loser. And this is arguably my favorite video I've ever covered. But we want to hear from you. What do you all think about this non-debate between Andrew Wilson and Matt Dillahunty, the loser? And if I'm incorrect, please correct me in the comments. Anyway, as always, really appreciate you watching, and we will see you in the next one.